One thing I hear from a lot of people who are just starting in music production is that Spotify told me that the master needs to be -14 LUFS or LUFS. And the big misconception is yes, Spotify is going to turn the master down to -14 LUFS. But if your master is mastered at that, I can guarantee it's going to sound significantly lower than every other song on Spotify that was mastered professionally. And if you take a quick look at the list of these top 20 songs that are currently hot on the charts right now, you'll notice that the lowest one is -9.5 LUFS, where some of the other ones are up to -6 LUFS. So all songs are still being mastered extremely loud. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is the producer wants to make their song as loud as possible, so they send it to the mixer loud. The mixer wants it to be a little bit louder so it sounds bigger when they send it back to the producers and A&R, so they make it a little bit louder. And then finally, the master engineer needs to make it sound a little louder, so he makes it louder. So part of the problem is that, and the other part of it is that limited music is what we're all used to listening to, at least when we're talking about top 40 music, right? That limited sound is part of the sound of music, very forward, in-your-face music. So in today's video, I want to show you 4 different ways to make your mix and master louder so that it can compete in the market that we're currently in. And if you don't want to do any of this on your own and would like my help, make sure to check me out at mixandmastermysong.com. I'm currently offering unlimited revisions to first-time clients. Let's go. Okay, so first things first. The reason why you probably can't get your mix and master loud enough, 99.9% of the time has to do with the kick and the bass and the low end frequencies. That is where all the voltage is taken up, and that is what is going to get distorted first when you put a limiter on or something like that. We got this song that I worked on a while ago. These are just the stems from this artist Who Killed Kenny called Glad I Spent It. Make sure to check him out. I got 1 bar looped here because I always find that's a good way just to hear the loudness, and when you're setting certain parameters that we're going to be using today, it's a good way just to hear what you're actually doing. Now, if I just play this without doing anything, we're at about -14, -15 LUFS without any limiter or anything on it. Let me just play this again.
He ain't have fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out of him. He ain't have fun, you don't even care about him.
Yeah, so like -15 LUFS. Now, I did this just for an example. I put this Pro L, and this is what a lot of maybe new people would do, is they get their mix done and they just throw a limiter on it and make it -8 LUFS or whatever. And that's what I did. I put this on, ended up having to turn up the gain 9 dB in order to achieve around -8. But I also turned the output down 9 dB so we can hear the difference of what the limiter is doing without actual loudness difference. So let me play this loop again, and then I'll turn it on.
He ain't have fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out of him. He ain't have fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out of him. He ain't have fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get.
So what happens is the whole mix just folds in, the kick and bass kind of go away. It gets very small sounding. There's distortion happening. And so that's what happens when you just throw a limiter on and you don't take these things into consideration throughout the mix and the master. So now let's take a look at the waveform. And what I want to show you is once we take the kick and the bass out of the equation, how small the waveform gets, just as a starting point for us.
He ain't have fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out of him. He ain't have fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out of him.
So that should show you that yes, it is the kick and the bass that is taking up all our headroom and the reason why the limiter has to work so hard to make it louder. So what can we do about the kick and the bass in order to not make the limiter work so hard when we get to the final master? And that brings us to tip number 1. You have to have a good balance. Now, a lot of times people just want so much bass, and maybe that's a part of the sound, but having a good balance will make it so the limiter doesn't have to work that hard. Let's just play this for a minute and play with our bass and kick relationship.
He ain't have fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out of him. He ain't have fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out of him. He ain't have fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out of him. He ain't have fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out of him. He ain't have fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game.
And so you saw the waveform might have gotten just a little bit smaller by the way we move the faders. And sometimes you saw what I did is I pulled the bass all the way down and then slowly brought it back in. That's a good way, just using faders, to really get a gauge of level of what you want it to be. Just bring it up until you hear it and feel it the way you want to. And that should be a good way to get your original balance down. And this will help a long way as we get to the final master of not having to make the limiter work too hard. Now that we got the boring tip out of the way, which is probably the most important, which is your level, let's move on to tip number 2. This is something I do all the time with hip hop and pop music that has a lot of heavy drums, a lot of heavy bass, and that is sidechain the bass to the kick. And I don't just blindly sidechain it. I'll use Soothe 2, which we'll show you in a minute, to just pull out the frequency that the kick and the bass are both taking up. And what this will do is it'll allow you to really still hear a lot of the bass information, but pulling down the frequency that the kick is taking up. And this will free up a whole lot of headroom in the final master. So this is what I do. I take the bass, and these are the settings I got. It's called JJ Bass. I actually stole this from Jason Joshua. And when I play it, you'll see it's sidechained to the kick. And depending on what DAW you're in, you could do that however way you need to do it. But this is how I do it in Studio One. And when I play it, so you can see what happened is when you hit play, just the low end section around that 63 Hertz area is being pulled down, but you're still hearing the bass just fine. Let me bypass this so you can hear the difference between the two. So you're still hearing the bass pretty clearly. There's a little bit of the low end that you're missing, and you can adjust how much you want of that, and different songs will dictate different things. But watch the waveform now with it off, and then you'll see with it on, you'll see that we get more headroom. Well, I was trying to put the line there so you could see it. We've got more headroom just by doing that. So that's tip number 2. Sidechain the bass so when the kick hits, that frequency will get out of the way in the bass and it will give you more headroom in the end. All right, so tip number 3, we're going to talk about clippers. Now, a lot of people use a clipper on their master bus before their limiter, which I do too, to get a little bit extra headroom and just clip off some of the tops of the transients. Now, that's a great way to do things, but I also like to clip on the kick, snare, and bass subgroup. So I'll take all my drums and bass and put it to a bus and then clip that. The reason why is because why should I clip the whole master when really, as we saw earlier in the video, all of the transient information that's gonna kill the limiter is coming from those instruments. So for that, I like to use any clipper works. I've been using this one from Newfangled Audio a lot called Saturate. And what I'm going to do is just clip it about a dB here, right? And you'll notice that we don't hear much difference, but we're going to gain more headroom again. So we've gained more headroom already from the side chaining. Now we're going to gain another bit of headroom from doing the clipping here. So as you can see, we're stacking different ways to get louder as we go on in the mix. So check this out. This is with it and then without it. Now, as you can see, once again, the waveform got a little bit smaller, so we're moving in steps here. And I like to use this in auto mode so that the loudness isn't affected so much, hard limiting, and I just turn the drive up until it's taking, like I said, about a dB off. Anything more can sometimes work, and just use your ears, sometimes cranking the drive all the way up and then slowly bringing it back till you're really not hearing a difference, constantly using bypass and staying in a loop. That's really important to do until it sounds not that different. Now, as we bypassed it, you could tell like a little difference, a little transient's missing, but with the whole mix going, you're not going to notice that much, and it's going to make the final master sound so much better. All right, on to tip 4. So we've sidechained the bass, we've clipped a little bit on the bass and kick section. Now we're going to use a little bit more clipper on the final master just for any like little strays, snares, or vocal pieces that might be taking up a little bit of headroom that we could get back. I'm going to use standard clip for this. It's one of my favorites for the final master. And I'm just going to pull the clipper down until it starts distorting and sounding terrible.
You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him.
All right, so that works pretty well. You're not hearing a dramatic difference between the bypass and the on. So we've clipped a little bit. And now more so for tip number 4 is to use multiple limiters. So what we do is we'll put a FabFilter Pro L, and we're just throwing limiters on here. We're not going to get super technical, but just take off a little bit. Just take off about a dB. And let's close this waveform out. Open that and bring up my decibel, which has been moved around, just so we can see where our loudness is getting.
You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him.
All right, so I like to just take off a couple of dB on the first limiter, and you notice just with that and just only a couple of dB off, we're already at like almost -10 LUFS, well, -11 LUFS there. Whereas before, you noticed if we had just that limiter on from the beginning, it was like 9 dB of reduction just to get to 8. So already with all those moves we've made, we're getting closer to making this master louder without distortion and making it sound terrible. So we got one L2, let's put another one. Usually I probably use a couple different limiters, but like I said, we're making this really simple. And let's see if we can get this a bit louder.
You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him. You ain't had fun, you don't even care about him. She don't got no game, she don't know how to get no bread out him.
All right, so as you can see, we're almost to -8 LUFS, -9.5, which actually is fine for hip hop sometimes. If you saw when I showed you that list of tracks, that new Chris Brown record is -9.5. And I'm sure if we actually went through the mix a bit better on this track and worked a bit more on the kick and bass relationship, we could get this a little bit louder. All right, so hopefully going through all those steps, you've noticed that by doing all those little steps, we've been able to get this master quite a bit louder than originally was, and not sounding so distorted and falling apart like if you just used one limiter. Let me know if you have any questions about the techniques in the comments below, and if you need your songs mixed and or mastered, hit me up at mixandmastermysong.com. Talk to you guys soon.